Hey y'all, welcome to For the Fans, where tonight we are going to talk about another really great episode of Big
Yeah.
Brother 24, where we got to see a super early OTEV competition. And, just some more Muffingate scandal, some Showmance updates, and,
Ooh.
the really epic speech by Michael setting up the back door. So let's dig into this episode. I was telling all of the guys off air, like, I usually do not look forward to the edited episodes, and I think they have been killing it this season. So, CJ, Sheldon, Mike, what are y'all's thoughts on this episode?
So, I don't think they have been killing it this season. I think they have been killing it the last 2.5 weeks. The first bit of the show was an absolute disaster. And I think the reason it was a disaster is that they forgot to show us what was actually happening in the house. If we would have seen the true bullying, if we would have seen the truth of what everybody's personality actually is, I think we would have had a great season overall. Something happened the last 2.5 weeks where they had, I don't know, it was a debate, it was an election, a hearing in the States, whatever the heck it was, where it seemed like they got a day off to actually figure things out. And ever since then, we've had a show.
I think the Twitter mob got to production. I think everyone who was watching online, watching the feeds, knew what was going on. And if you looked online, the show that you were watching, if you were watching the feeds, and the show they were watching on TV were not the same thing whatsoever. And then once you got the formation of the leftovers, it became impossible to tell the story they were telling without showing what the internet was talking about. And since the leftovers has taken over, it's been a lot better to watch. Because for me, I was getting ready to hate watch the show if they would have gotten rid of Taylor. But the leftovers came and saved her, and now we have a very enjoyable and watchable show.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that's well said. I have a lot of friends who, like Sheldon, they watch the show, but they don't watch the feed so much. They're not like religiously watching the feeds. And there was a disconnect between people who watched the feeds and people who didn't, because we were watching two different games unfold in front of us. But I like the way you said that, CJ. The leftovers forced production to show us what is actually going on in the game. Why do these people feel left out? Well, here's why. We forgot to show you the last 2 weeks. We'll show you now. So that was good.
Yes. Yeah, we forgot about that little bit, where everybody was being bullied and mean and,
I don't really understand, though, why CBS, why Big Brother wouldn't show that. Like, in an age where they have been making a statement with 50-50 casts, isn't this the exact sort of stuff that would make sense for them to show the truth of what's actually, like? I don't understand the strategy. I don't understand. I just don't get why.
So, I mean, I think for the most part, sorry, CJ, they try to protect the house guests. They want to show everyone in as favorable of a light as possible. They don't want you to come onto this game show and then your whole life is ruined. And so, I mean, I think that plays a part of it.
Yeah. And then also, it's a game, but is it really a game? And I say that in that production has their favorites, and there's people that you're going to get pushed to the forefront because they think they find interesting or they're good on camera or whatever the case may be. Perfect example is Paloma week 1. Paloma had a whole lot of one-on-one time with the cameras because she was probably the most compelling in front of the camera. And the narrative that they were showing was that Taylor was horrible, but they never actually had anything to show in those episodes of Taylor being bad. It was just Paloma bad-mouthing her. And then they cut to a shot of Taylor living her life in the house, laying by the pool, playing games with the dudes. So you have this narrative, and the people who are getting all the one-on-one time are the ones who are telling it. And then once the house flips, because they're no longer in control, you have to backtrack and show all of this stuff that was going on. And they actually did a really good job in an hour of kind of showing, oh, this is where we screwed up. Because the hard thing is, unlike Survivor or unlike The Challenge, they're writing the narrative as they go because they don't know who's going to win. It's very easy to make someone a hero when you have all of the facts at the end.
Kevin Gilreath in the chat makes a really good point. The reason they wouldn't show all this stuff is because if Jasmine, Nicole, and Daniel were in a good place, because those three of them, they were in a good place, and they wanted us to have a likable winner. And that, that works so well, CJ, with what you just said, with this idea of they are editing on the go. So in their minds, and the truth is, I don't know about Jasmine as much, but from a Nicole and Daniel perspective, they truly were in a great place. They really, truly were. And maybe there is a little bit of, they want a likable winner. I don't know.
I mean, like BB21, we get Jackson Mickey as a winner, and he walks out of the house to silence because everybody hates him because they showed his true colors somewhat. I mean, they only gave you a little snippet into what he was really doing, and while we all loved him to walk out and be immediately confronted with, hey, why did you say these things? Why did you do these things?
What did he do? I don't even remember, folks.
Well, I mean, he had probably some microaggressions, as not even just outright racism, and
and
probably sexist. I mean, lots of things. He just wasn't a very great person.
And I think going back to like why we didn't see a lot of the realness of the house. I mean, in the first, as they're, like you said, writing the narrative as they go, like in the first 4 times you turn on Big Brother, do you want them to tell you that there's like bullying going on and like all this stuff? They, in their minds, they're like, no, we want to paint like a good picture. You turn this on, you're happy to watch, you're excited to watch. But I think they have that wrong in the sense that we just actually want to know what's going on in the house. If there's bullying, it's a shame, show it. We want to know. You put 16 people from all walks of life into any scenario, there are going to be situations like that. We want to see that. We don't want to see, Paradise.
At the core, what Big Brother and all these shows is a human experiment. It's let's put some random ass people on an island, in a house, in a ring, and let's see what happens when they all have a goal of winning, of getting the rest of them out. And out of that, certainly, if it's not every season, some seasons, there is going to be bullying. There is going to be racism. There is going to be love. Because guess what? In the real world, there is bullying, there is racism, and there is love. Right? So just show it to us, because that's the reality.
Yeah, it's a reality show. So, give us the competitions, but give us how these relationships are forming. And, a big part of how the leftovers formed was because of the mistreatment of Taylor. And so, I think we've hit the nail on the head that they just basically didn't have any choice but to show it to us.
So what happened in this episode?
So let's dig into this episode. We start off after the nomination ceremony. Michael has just put the festy besties, Monty, Joseph, Terrence, on the block. And, Michael gives us this DR of, hey, if they happen to stay the same, it is what it is. Yeah.
Do y'all believe that? Like, would that have been the right move?
I don't think it's necessarily the wrong move. And I think that he was actually sincerely open to it until he realized, hey, I'm just doing their dirty work for them. But, Michael is one of the true super fans in the house. And he realizes a guy like Monty, you let him get to the final 6, the final 5, there's a great chance he can win out and you can't get him out of the game. And, Michael knows that yes, these competitions at the end of the game are built for people like Monty.
I feel like the decision, honestly, was, in Michael's mind, stay with the leftovers or jump ship and go with, like, Daniel, in his mind at least. Go with Daniel, Jasmine, everybody like that. It wasn't so much as, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it seemed like there was this group and there was this group. It would have been him flipping to like a new alliance, basically, in his mind, rather than, making like a crazy move because he's a super fan. You know what I mean? Like, it just that's how it seemed to happen when, we'll get to it, but everybody starts coming to him and he's like, I'm in this alliance. I don't really want to just jump ship. You know what I mean?
Well, right now there's 13 people in the house or 12 people in the house. So like you jump ship, yes, you stay on the right side of the numbers, but are you working with people who will actively be trying to protect you, 3-4 weeks from now? And with the leftovers, he still has a couple of shields to help protect him. But if he's with this other group, like he's out on Front Street. Everybody knows he's a comp beast. The man stays undefeated in vetoes.
Yep.
Do you really want to be the shield for everyone else? I don't think so.
Right. I mean, in Michael's scenario, he needs to keep Monty in the game because Monty has 1 win, Michael has 5 wins. So I mean, if you're looking at, hey, who are these competitions maybe tailored for? Maybe it's Michael and not Monty.
Well,
You know what I mean?
What's interesting is that like I so agree with that, Kylie, because I actually honestly think there's this physical thing about Monty and about Joseph that we can't get over. Because the truth is, they're not compists. Michael is the biggest compist in that house. Michael is the most dangerous person in that house. And the truth is, if I was there and I see Michael in that house, if I'm going to make a move on anybody, it's on Michael. He's a super fan. He keeps on winning, which I think is dumb, honestly, for him. He needs to start losing because it's way too much winning and way too much of him sitting in a bathtub talking about him trying to beat Janelle's record in the house or whatever, which I saw on Twitter because I peeked and it was evil. And I shouldn't have. But my other point is, like, fundamentally, I actually think this would have been the wrong move for Michael because it's just too early. With Michael's ability to actually win competitions, he has a track record of that. We're at 12 people. If we're scared for Monty to get to 6, you do it at 8. You do it at 7. This is
I think 2 or 3 weeks from now, if the situation is, still there, I think it's something that Michael seriously looks at. But at this point, it's not in his best interest.
You also set a really bad precedent for the house of, look what Michael did. It's time for us to do it to Michael.
But I mean, subtly the entire time, at least I was seeing, whether he was going to do it or not, he was saying to everyone, this might be the only week to get. He painted Monty as this huge threat. Like, if we don't get him out now, we might never get another chance. So then, if he doesn't do it, because we don't know yet right now if he does or does not, if he even wins. But if he doesn't, I still think he painted like the perfect. I think he played it perfectly. But again, Sheldon, I don't think he should keep winning.
But isn't that the exact perfect social game? Every single person you have a conversation with, you talk to them as if you are their number one ally.
Yes.
And that conversation is from their perspective of what they would want. And that's exactly what Michael did. He got into their brain and he was like, look, if we work together, this would be really good for us. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, that's good. Like, that is the perfect social game so that everybody doesn't look at him, even though everybody should really be looking at him.
Sure. Don't look at me over here with my 5 competition wins. Look at Monty. Look at this shiny thing.
And once Monty's out, Joseph is
absolutely has to throw Monty under the bus. Whether Monty is in his alliance or not, it's 100% the right thing for Michael to do. So I really, really love that point.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the same thing that Monty was doing with Taylor last week. Yeah, she's definitely public enemy number 1. We got to get rid of Taylor. Rally the votes around Taylor. And then once Taylor's on the block, you're like, do we really want to get rid of Taylor, though? Mm-hmm. Nah, probably not.
But but I think, CJ, that might be a little different because Monty knew he wasn't going to do that as much. Well, I guess it's similar. But I'm not certain that Michael really made a real decision, his mind up. Monty knew Taylor wasn't going anywhere and never wanted Taylor to go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's true. Michael doesn't have a decision to make until he knows where the veto goes.
Right.
And not only that, like, I don't know. My idea of good strategy is you don't actually make a decision until you need to make a decision.
Right.
And as you go down that path, you make the best social plays you can so that everybody thinks you're on their side.
I think he did a great job of that.
Yeah.
I agree to an extent, but there should have been a decision. I agree, like, take it as you go, kind of like cross that bridge when we get there, but there needed to be a decision made before that veto.
Why?
Because if Michael can say to himself and his festy bestie Brittany, we're not going to go through with this. We're going to, if we win, we're going to take them off. The plan is Daniel, we're going to go with the house. You could have made that decision right there, and you don't have to go out there and win that veto. You can let the 3 people who are sitting right next to you win. And that's some, that's your threat level going down, because that's not 17,000 veto wins. That's only, 16,000. So, you know what I mean?
But Mike, I don't think the decision was either getting out Monty or not. I think the real decision was, do we make a move to turn on the leftovers or not? Because if they would have stayed on the block, the question was, do we get rid of Terrence or not? Do we get rid of Terrence or Monty? Right? So that was, to me, the real decision that Michael and Brittany were really struggling with. It was, is this the time to screw over the leftovers? If it is, then Monty's our target. If it's not, let's just get rid of Daniel.
So,
why not
digging
make that decision prior, though?
But I mean, I think digging into the feeds a little bit, they did have a plan in place of publicly to people outside of to the leftovers. Michael was saying, hey, if nominations stay the same, we're obviously going to get rid of Terrence. And he's talking to Brittany, his closest ally, saying, hey, if nominations stay the same and people end up taking a shot at Monty, oh, sorry, nothing I can do about it. And she knows that he's okay with that. But then, with the leftovers, they're saying, hey, the plan is y'all come off the block, we backdoor Daniel. So there was kind of this 3-layer plan in place that he had going into the veto. Now, whether or not he needed to actually win the competition, All right, but let's talk about Terrence, because he kind of had, he had a visible episode. We're not going to call it a breakout one because it was not great.
Nope.
But we have Terrence and Daniel talking in the bathroom, and Terrence gets this idea that, hey, you know what needs to happen? Nominations need to stay the same, and I'll stay up on the block. I'm not worried about it. And I'm like, in what world do you get blindsided 2 weeks in a row? And do you think it is a swell idea to stay on the block? I'm so confused. Somebody help me.
This is why the leftovers identified Amira as the primary target, because of all of the people left in the house, for some reason, they can't figure out that the leftovers are working together. They can sniff out a few of them and say, okay, well, this person's doing this and this person's doing that. How do you keep getting blindsided by a chunk of votes and not know? The Amira vote told you all you needed to know. And yet you're still sitting here I don't know what happened. It's crazy. They're
so
dumb.
right,
They are all so dumb.
You are so dumb.
I will say I
Too
was so
far.
happy. Though.
Don't be rude.
That was a play on that you are so dumb. You are really, really dumb.
Yep.
I couldn't help but love that even whether it's not the best gameplay of all time, Terrence is finally okay, I'm starting to get this. I'm starting to play the game. Whether it's terrible or not, he's got some pep in his step now. I got this. He all season he's been saying the DJ sticking around. I got this. Your boy's staying. But now he's starting to be I run this shit, and I kind of love it, especially when it doesn't work. It's better when it doesn't work.
It is. It's fun. It's fun to have somebody have really, really false confidence. And
right?
Terrence stepped into his power this week. I don't know, y'all. Okay. And also it's just really, really curious why he also chooses the person that, has kind of been now ostracized. Hey, you see this person out here on an island? That's who I want to pick up, and that's who I want to be best friends with, and try to rally the numbers around. Makes a lot of sense.
It's funny because Terrence thinks he's playing a strong social game because he has a good relationship with everyone, but realistically, the reason he has a good relationship with everyone is at this point, if I knew that I had to get to final 2, maybe I drag him along because nobody's voting for Terrence to beat me.
Right. No.
And unlike Jasmine, who is annoying, I could at least deal with living with Terrence.
I'll give something to Terrence, even though he doesn't fully understand what's going on, I don't think, in the game. He is extremely likable. I so see why he was cast. Him looking at the camera and being so confident was, it's funny because Nicole and Daniel were doing the same things. The difference was the difference was he's actually having fun with it, and I'm not actually 100% certain he believes that he's actually that confident and really 100% believes what he's saying. I think he thinks he's playing around, doing some stuff. Hopefully it makes some sense, and honestly, I'm here to watch it. It's fun.
It's like when you put, like, here's what I'll say. Like, when you have a player who isn't playing the best game, and when they cast a player, like they cast like an Instagram model, and they're not playing the best game, they're just there, they're pretty, they're handsome, whatever. They're not playing a great game at all. There's nothing really to like keep you around like watching it. But at least Terrence is fun to watch. That's why they need, even you don't have to cast super fans throughout the cast. Just cast people we can like root for, even if they're not playing. Like, I'm rooting for Terrence because he's not playing a good game. Like, I don't want him to start playing well because it'll throw me off. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's like the difference. They feel.
How about Indy?
Yeah. I love it.
How about Indy? Even BB is even asking the exact same question. How about Mike? Are you talking about Indy?
Yeah.
Indy,
Who, by the way, showed up in minute 51 of this episode.
The Lays.
And I was like, oh yeah, she's still here.
The Lays got way more airtime than Indy. All right. We get the continuation of Muffingate. Muffingate 2.0, and Jasmine is on the mission. She has laid down in the living room like a chameleon, blending in with the carpet and the surroundings to watch who is going to eat her muffin.
Is this okay? I have a feeling in her life, the people around her think she's kooky and cute and funny and silly. So I think that's what she thinks about herself. And because of that, I actually think this would be a really brilliant strategy, because she's acting so silly and so ridiculous that nobody wants to get rid of her. Nobody sees her as a threat. None of that. The problem, though, is that she's annoying as hell. And nobody wants her.
I mean, I think there's people eating it up somewhere, because, and even I think this kind of like hits onto the thing that Mike was saying. Like, you also kind of have to have somebody that you root against. And I think Jasmine, for me especially, has emerged as that person where you're just like, I cannot handle not one more week of her on my screen, just the things that she says. But where you get Jasmine, being absolutely ridiculous, the flip side of the coin is we get Turner, who has he cannot even hold in how much he despises this woman.
I love it.
Right.
It's over. And he just standout episode for him.
He's been such a surprise to me. Kevin saying that this episode roasting Jasmine was a lot. I honestly thought, I saw his profile, don't judge a book by its cover, because I looked at him. I heard that he stinks and doesn't shower. I heard all these things, and I was like, this guy's going to be a disaster. And although we haven't gotten a lot of him, we are getting more of him. His HOH was exemplary, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. His ability to go back in the background after his HOH is exemplary. You even hear every once in a while a strategic thought about, well, if I do this, maybe I won't get a vote. If Jasmine finds out that I was the one that ate her muffin, then that might lose me a jury vote. So you see him really thinking about the game. And he is really like, I want more Turner, more all the time.
Yeah. I mean, he had some really, really great DRs, but I really, really like him calling her a low rent Columbo.
For real though, if somebody wasn't going to vote for me because I ate half of their muffin, cool. It was worth it.
Yeah. Also, I'm eating the whole muffin. If I'm not getting your jury vote, I'm eating both muffins. Right. That's what I'm doing.
Can you explain to me why this is even an issue? Somebody ate a muffin. Okay, you don't have a muffin. Move on. It's been days.
And she said that muffin wasn't even good. But our boy Turner, our boy Terrence spills the beans, tells Jasmine it was, in fact, her festy bestie that did this. Like, Terrence, what are you doing? Do not ruin the fun. And Jasmine is trying to play it off like, come on, Turner, fess up. But low-key, she's mad.
Yeah. Oh, she's pissed.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny because she's telling Turner, "You're supposed to be my number one. You're supposed to have my back. You're supposed to look out for me." Okay, cool. Well, then that's our muffin, not your muffin.
Yeah.
We're a team, right? Our muffin. Why are you so upset?
Right.
I do
What's good for
think
me, it's
that
good for you.
I'm
Who
gonna
made
give
these
Sheldon.
muffins?
I'm gonna give Sheldon some credit here, and he'll never stop talking about this. But I'm gonna give Big Brother Canada credit. This is what they hit the nail on the head on every season. It seems like showing the fun, stupid stuff that goes on that we love. Like we're talking about Muffin Gate. We could talk game all night. It's just fun to talk about this type of stuff, and that's something that BB Can always throws in.
But it's not just fun to talk about, Mike. This is actually their personalities. Jasmine has done Muffin Gate in some iteration at home with whomever she lives with. She has been on the floor with her bum in the air, trying to hide. This has happened before. This is her. And it's when you see this ridiculous stuff, this stuff that doesn't actually matter to the game, although maybe it does. This is reality. This is authenticity. This is what we want to see.
Yeah.
I
All
agree.
right. So moving on, we get Taylor, Michael, Brittany discussing before the veto draw. Oh, what is the big move to do here? And I really, really love them highlighting this trio because hopefully this is a trio that emerges even more as we get a little bit further into the game. And Taylor and Brittany have this really close relationship, and Michael and Brittany as a duo have kind of taken Taylor under their wing. And so love this. And they're like, Monty would be the big move because Monty is protected by all of us. Like, he's not only this big target, but he's protected too. And do we want to do that? And they can all see, and that's good because even if it doesn't happen this week, having this discussion shows, we're all kind of open to this down the road.
And more than that, it solidifies the three.
Yeah.
I think one of I think the way Brittany and Michael have brought Taylor in, having these conversations is the smartest part of this, because it was visible. Not just are they festy besties, whatever the heck this crap is, they're also like really, really close as humans, right?
Yes.
And it would have been very easy for Taylor to feel like a third wheel. And this is so strategic to not just have this specific conversation about thinking down the line about what to do with the leftover members, but also to say, Taylor, it's not us two, it's us three. Yeah. It is so important, especially after her being completely left out, Taylor being completely left out at the beginning, and them saying, "You're one of us. This is us three. Let's go."
And it's true because you saw it early in the season. Michael and Brittany wanted to work with Taylor, but they couldn't because they were in self-preservation mode because everyone else was going after them too. So it wasn't until they got brought into the leftovers and they were a little bit insulated from, sitting on the block all the time, did they get the chance to actually work with her, because it was something that all of them had talked about individually, but for whatever reason they couldn't. And now they can, which another reason why I'm actually enjoying watching this season now.
Yeah. We get the Taylor Showmance segment, and I was like, okay, they are really gonna jump into maybe this possible budding romance with a girl Taylor, a girl Joseph. Like, I am not necessarily the biggest fan of a Showmance, but I am here for Jailer because they're two great people, and who doesn't want to see this happen? And they kind of tease it, but then love the pivot that they do. And no, Taylor's true Showmance, her true number one, the bag of potato chips. And I'm like, I am eating this up. This is the kind of, editing.
Intended.
Yeah, no pun intended, or was it? This is the editing that I'm enjoying seeing, because yes, we see the stuff on the feeds, but we don't know if they're ever going to actually highlight this, and them showing the clips of her, sitting on the stairs with the Monty and Daniel thing, and her eating the potato chips when Daniel's yelling at her in the bathroom. All of it. Give the girl a sponsorship.
Does she eat Lay's all day long on the feeds, or is it just at the best times?
No, she likes her some chips. She does.
She's eating chips all day.
All day.
Wow. and she looks like that, I need to do that. Maybe
That's the
maybe
dream,
I need
right?
to eat more
Yeah.
chips.
I love how
Definitely.
I think it was Michael and Joseph maybe they were working out and Taylor's just eating potato chips. It's like bringing a pizza to a gym and just eating it in front of the people on the treadmill. That's literally the
Also,
same thing.
Awful.
how many thousands did Frito-Lay pay today for that segment?
I don't know if they did, but I
Oh,
mean,
they did.
They had
they
to.
they
had-
have to just
Yeah.
scoop Taylor up as soon as she comes out of the house. Like,
Oh yeah,
you
big
have a
fan.
beauty queen. She genuinely loves your product. Just give the girl a sponsorship. All right.
Everything.
So we get to the veto draw, and best case scenario doesn't work out for what Michael wants because
Uh-oh.
Daniel and Kyle don't get drawn to play, but we get Jasmine, broke foot, walking on a cane Jasmine, fixing to play Otev, and Turner. That's okay though. What do y'all think about them having Otev pre-jury? Because have we ever seen Otev this early in a season?
The only part I don't really like about it is that not all the players remaining have the ability to play it. But I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, I've
But-
always liked Otev late in the season when it's at like 6, because it's one of those things where if I was in the house and I didn't get a chance to play, I'd be very disappointed.
Yeah.
Like
Also,
making Otev used to mean something.
yeah. Also, are we not going to talk about how there was like a huge advantage to one of the teams because they had more people who could win? Like normally
Right.
it's just one, it's an individual thing, but now we have Festy Besties and we have 2 and 2 against 2, 2, 3.
3.
I mean, is the 2 even a 2? I mean, is Jasmine's foot still broke? I don't know. I
One
don't,
and a half.
yeah, 1.5 apparently, but I was just sitting here like, why? How are we not us, but in general, like, how is no one being like,
What the hell?
this is a huge advantage to the 3 people who could win over just the odds are stacked
And
against
they still didn't win.
Yeah,
Well,
like
we're not there
fast
yet,
forwarding
though.
a little bit on what you're saying. At the end, it was Michael versus the 3 boys.
Yes.
And he
Michael
said,
versus
I got
all
to take them
3 of
out
them.
one by one.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter when Michael's involved, so maybe that's why they did it. But in any other season, this would be a
Well,
big
no,
deal.
this was my problem. This has been my problem with this entire twist in general. It is completely unfair. It like the fact that you have 3s and 2s, like it's just unfair. I guess the only fairness of it is that somebody who gets saved, so they were in a bad position, chooses to go with a 3, so now they're in a beneficial position. So if you're willing to get on the block and suffer being on the block, it's quite possible that in the future weeks you're in a beneficial position. I still don't think it's fair.
I honestly would have liked if the person who survives that they do the Festy Besties, pairs of pairs, and if you survive the vote, if you're nominated, you survive the vote, you're safe that week. The next time someone's voted out, now we have a pair because one person leaves and you 2 come together. We still have 2s, but throwing in 3s. I mean, there's going to be a quadruple team. It's going to be like a final 4 of besties or something.
Well, look, what's her name? Who is left? Taylor. She could have joined the 3 guys.
I just wonder if she would have joined the 3 guys if they would have split them into duos.
Why? No, that's not what Julie
wonder.
Chen-Moonves said.
Yeah.
I
Julie didn't
said
know
I
what she was
just
going to pick.
wonder. We're never going to know though. Okay.
If they all
Can we
join,
talk about Otev's strategy? Because Michael had it.
Yes. Okay. So let's get into this OTEV competition. Actually, real quick before we do that, after the veto draw and Daniel did not get drawn, he has this DR where he says he does not want to get backdoored like his best friend Nicole. I'm like, bro,
You did it to her.
do you know how it happened? Because that was you. But side note. All right. So yeah, we get OTEV the stage roach. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the play on this. It fits with their theme of festivals, the play on stagecoach, a country roach singing some tunes, and these are grown ass people that sat down and wrote these lyrics.
Yeah.
One of which being a throne made from poo. I don't even know what to tell people. Like, I like to admit that I still watch Big Brother and Survivor and The Challenge. And then I'm watching a roach singing about people getting sprayed by porta potty water. I don't know. I don't know what's happening in my life. But anyways, what y'all think about this iteration of OTEV?
My favorite iteration of OTEV is anyone that looks like Old Mac from Legends of the Hidden Temple. But we didn't get that one. We got Stage Roach, which was entertaining.
Yeah.
I just struggle with it being so early, because the other thing about this OTEV comp being so early is there's a limited number of comps that they can draw from for the answers, which makes it far easier to get the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like I thought, further down the line, there's way more competition that comes into play way more. And we've seen in previous seasons, people get it wrong. In this one, I was like, if you get it wrong, what have you been thinking about for the last, how long have we been in that? How long have they been in the house?
A month, basically.
Like, what have you been thinking about if you can't remember the competitions from 3 weeks ago?
That's the sucky part for me about it being this early, that it's way too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, they chose not to highlight it in the edited version, but this was actually a dangerous competition. Brittany, even though she was the first out, she only played one round. She had to get stitches in her knee.
What?
And guess what? Brittany is okay. Her knee's okay. She's not on a scooter. She's not walking with a cane.
Impossible.
She's perfectly fine, y'all.
Impossible.
What?
I don't believe it. Any injury in the Big Brother house lasts the rest of the season.
And Turner apparently had to have his knee popped back into place. He dislocated it. So tough, rough competition. But that's OTEV for you. So Sheldon, you hinted on it. Michael does talk about his strategy. And finally, because I have said this every single time I've watched OTEV, why do they not just get a little stockpile of answers? Especially when it seems like there's a very limited number of answers for it to be.
Yep.
Well, the difficulty now is, let's say we've now solved the problem, the game. Is OTEV over?
No.
No, because at the end of the day, it's still a speed competition. Even if you know all the answers, you still got to get there faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I loved it. It was so smart. He did well. Did anybody else do that? I don't think so, right? So it was
this time.
Look, there is a benefit in being a super fan.
Like BB16, I remember there was a competition. It was the letter competition where you had to spell a word, and they're all in I think it was noses. I think they were in noses and boogers and stuff.
Digging through snot.
And Zach Rancy Pants, instead of collecting letters for himself, I think he threw letters that he didn't need into the nostrils or something. I forget, so that other players couldn't get it. It's kind of similar strategy, but I'm happy it was implemented like that, because it was super fan. This is, again, we talked about it in the first podcast. This is why Michael is a super fan, and we tend to question Daniel's super fandom, because it's this dude is just killing it, man. What's that?
The number one reason I question Daniel's super fandom is he had 10 years, his words, 10 years, and the best alliance thing he could come up with was Rogue Rats.
Yes.
Do better, Daniel. Do better.
At least it's doing great.
But we do get down to Michael versus the three people he has on the block. And I think that at this point, it just it kicked in. Maybe he didn't plan to win OTEV, but I think just that super fandom did kick in for him, where he's like, I could win OTEV. I can have complete control of my HOH week. Who knows? I may not even get another chance to be HOH. I mean, I probably will, because I win everything, but I may not. And so he is going to seize the opportunity and takes them out systematically. And it comes down to Terrence and Michael. Do y'all think Terrence had any shot at this, even if he didn't throw it?
Nah.
No. Michael found that last one in about 3.5 seconds.
And no dislocated knees, shoulders, no stitches. He just did it. Wow.
Did the damn thing.
But listen, I am impressed that Terrence got that far. That's not an easy task. He did it.
Well, it's as long as you don't come in last, you're good. And Terrence just kept not coming in last.
Yeah. Also, Joseph saying like, yeah, like I know we're bestie. I can't lose to Terrence. My friends will never let me hear the end of it. I'm like, bro, you're going down a slide while a bug yells at you. You got to find a bottle. Like, yeah, the man
They're
might
probably gonna
beat
make
you
fun
at
of you.
this. It's a very real situation. Like you may lose.
And you're dressed like a cockroach too. They're probably
Yeah.
gonna make fun of you.
I thought they were turtles. I don't know. They had like I don't know. Whatever.
Why
Yeah.
would they have been turtles?
I don't know. Whatever. They look like they look like whatever.
Okay. I mean, well, I guess since Otev was a roach, he doesn't want to kill himself. I was gonna say, like, wouldn't it have been better for them to have been searching for like bottles of bug spray or something? Like, I don't want there to be any bug spray out there to take down the cockroaches. Go find me the, wasp spray with the whatever on it.
I think the festival food with the condiments, I could support that.
All right. Another veto win. This is now 4 vetoes. Like the record for a season is 5, and he has won 4 pre-jury.
The king stays king.
I mean, James Ryan will always be the OG veto king, but watch out. Here comes Michael. Do y'all think he breaks the record?
So let me just say something. I was chatting a few nights ago. I don't know if I should say this, but I'll say it anyways. But a friend of mine who was best friends with Michael, a friend I played an online reality game with, and I asked him, "Did you think that Michael would be such a comp beast?" And his answer was absolutely, because I saw him do LRGs, live reality games, where he won ridiculously. Michael was also a track star and a swim star. So he is a major athlete. And I'll be honest, again, another don't judge a book by its cover. I saw tall, lanky, no muscle dude thinking he will not win a thing. And I was wrong, because this guy's the real deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I see Michael in the backyard with the shirt off, and I was like, he sparkles.
Yeah.
But nah, he's out there killing it.
He
So
sparkles.
kudos to him.
He
It's
sparkles.
I sparkle too.
He's the best. I want to be like Michael when I grow up.
He's amazing. So, all right. After this, we get Terrence saying, "You know what? This is how you play the game, y'all. I am going to go have a little conversation with Michael. I'm going to just talk to him about this is it. Seize the moment. Take out this big threat, Monty." And Terrence, he kind of starts talking to the other side of the house, and hey, y'all, wouldn't it be cool if we took out Monty and we get the girls? And this is like the only screen time that Indy and Alyssa get this episode. Let's do it. The girls are on board. Let's take Michael out. Let's take Monty out.
Yeah, and they all went and told Michael the same story. Like they were reading lines.
Yeah. It was, look, CJ, you said it before. I won't go as far as calling them dumb, but they certainly don't understand yet how to play Big Brother.
Nope.
And not having a mirror around is a problem. It really is a problem. Somebody to hold their hand, somebody to guide them. And we're seeing it. One of them should have went. 2 of them should have went. Not all of them with the exact same story, probably in exactly the same order. And, Michael clocked them. It probably was easy to, but he clocked them.
And once again, this is really, really good editing because they show the revolving door.
Yep.
Terrence. Here comes Jasmine. Here comes Indy. Here comes Alyssa. Oh, followed it up with Daniel. And like I said, in reality, he was going to kind of contemplate this. Like, what is the best thing for me to do? Should I leave nominations the same, make this big move? But then once he has these 5 people come to him, he's like, okay, they're clearly working together. So yes, I could let them take a shot, take Monty out. But then that just narrows the numbers. Even if the rest of the leftovers are okay with what happens and, they aren't targeting me, which why wouldn't they? But,
I guess the only
This is a group that has said that they want to come for me. Why am I going to do their dirty work?
Right.
I guess the only rationale would be he might think that if he flips and he makes that group of 5, him and Brittany, a group of 7, and he's in charge.
I don't even think it's necessarily a thing of him wanting to flip because he's the HOH. I mean, ultimately, he doesn't get to control who they vote out. So
Well,
if he leaves all 3 of them up there and he's like, it was supposed to be Terrence, what the hell happened? You know what I mean? I don't think it's so much that he was contemplating, do I flip to this other side of the house or do I just let nature take its course?
well, hold
Right.
on. In order for it to happen, they would have needed a Brittany vote, wouldn't they have?
Well, I mean, I think that they would have talked with all of the leftovers, talked with Taylor, talked with Turner, talked with Joseph. Hey,
They
Monty's a big
actually
threat.
they would have lost that vote 5-4 because Monty and Joseph could not vote and Michael only votes in the event of a tie, which there wouldn't be. So
Mhm.
Monty actually would have went out 5-4.
Yeah.
And this is why, like, when Michael's talking to them again, I said it like the first time he was nominated or something. He's asking people if they can use the veto on him or if they're willing to play for him and stuff. And people are just saying no, no, no. And he's like, yeah, if you're not comfortable, like the way he spoke to them, I was like,
Yeah.
this dude knows how to talk to people, make them feel comfortable, even when they're telling him to his face, no, I don't want to save you. I don't really care if you're in the house or not. Same thing this HOH. He's telling people to their face, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. I don't know what I'm going to do. He's not making promises that he can't keep. He's not doing anything crazy. The way he speaks to people. I mean, the only thing in my mind right now about Michael that I would say he will not be the winner of the season is just the fact that he has so many wins. And that's why this week I'm like, he probably shouldn't have won the veto, and it hangs me up a little bit. But other than that, he's the perfect Big Brother player to this point, in my opinion.
I agree with you. The one thing I would say that I've been loving to watch this week with him is there is a pure joy in him being the HOH, having the OTEV experience. Like he was sitting there talking, as you said, Mike, talking properly, doing great social strategy, but you could see this means so much to him. And he is just loving every second of it. And I'm here for it. I want to watch more of it.
Yep.
Yes. I mean, I agree with all of that. So we get Terrence and them talking, doing a little cam talk. We duped him. He doesn't know what's coming. He's going to take him out. Time for the veto ceremony. And Michael just further solidifying himself as just an icon. And hey, you know what? We have decided to use the power of veto. You 3 guys come down. Daniel is my favorite Elvis impersonator once. What's good for the house is good for me. And here's your chance to apologize and make amends. And that has to just, Daniel has had to take like shot after shot the last 2 weeks. And he's still trying to play the game. So he can't even say anything. He just has to sit there and take it. And this has to absolutely kill him because it would kill me.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about his speech? Mike, what do you think? Does this go down as one of the best veto speeches for the person using the veto?
Yeah, I think it has to. In context, yes. If you know what has happened in this game so far, this speech is legendary in Big Brother, I think. When I was watching it, I was like, oh my God. Because he could have easily just been like, sorry, this is the way it goes. But no, he's like, I'm a super fan. I know what's happening. I'm not on Twitter right now, but I know what's happening on Twitter. I know what you guys are thinking. And I'm going to give you what you want because I am that big of a fan. I think it has to go down as a legendary speech in Big Brother, in my opinion, especially modern day Big Brother. I haven't heard anything like it in a long time. So I was like, yeah, I was thrilled by that.
Look, as a fan, it was fun. I wouldn't do it. Like I don't like
No, me neither. Me neither.
I don't like any of this, especially with the fact that, like, I don't think he actually hates Daniel. right? I think he would have been willing to work with Daniel if it made sense for his game. So it's sort of like it is a complete 100%. It's for the fans. This is what Michael
For
did.
the fans.
It's for the fans. It really is for the fans.
Wow.
But as a
He did it for us.
gameplay, personally, I would be so scared to do that. Like, no
I
need.
love it. It is icon status. I mean, we get Taylor's speech last Thursday. We get this one. They've got some nice little goodbye messages lined up for Daniel, and I hope that they just let him have it there too. At the end, we get once again Taylor in the DR with her bag of chips. And hey, you know what? In the Big Brother house, revenge isn't just sweet, sometimes it's salty too. And I was just, y'all, I cannot get over loving the edited show. It's weird. I love it though.
So, BB says if Michael wins, he will be an iconic player in BB history. Agree?
Yes.
Agreed.
Wow.
I don't think it's just because competitions can make a player, but for him, it's not just competitions.
No,
Like
it's not.
I know, and I know it's pre-jury, but the way he's played this pre-jury, I don't know. Just the way he talks, I can't get over the way he talks to people. He would 100% manipulate me, and you know that's hard to do. And it's like
Is
I
there?
would be,
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all a question. Is there anybody in the game smart enough strategically to beat Michael at this point? Like, the only person that comes to mind is Joseph. But outside of that, like, is Michael going to run away with it?
He has the possibility to.
maybe Taylor and Brittany.
So the
he's-
thing about Joseph is nobody's clocking him as a threat yet. He's very much operating in the background because you saw in this episode that everyone wanted Monty out. Nobody even considered getting rid of Joseph. And part of that is Joseph hasn't won anything yet, so people aren't looking at him. But you really need to be looking at the people that everybody likes.
Yeah, Kevin has this comment. It's long, but it is spot on. Michael discussed keeping Daniel, but when Daniel pitched himself as a weapon for Michael to do his dirty work, it turned Michael off because the weapon shouldn't know he's the weapon. And that was exactly
100% true.
it. He was like, no, we cannot.
I'm just going to defend myself for a second. We got a comment here where Kevin says, Sheldon, stop riding for the bullies. I'm not riding for anybody. I don't take rides. I drive my own car. Okay. But here's the thing. I feel bad just assuming that everything I'm seeing on TV and reading on Twitter and hearing is 100,000% the truth. I can't do that. I want to give people the benefit of the doubt because why not? I'd rather be a good person. It doesn't mean I condone a lot of stuff that's happened or that I've seen. Absolutely not. But I don't want to forsake anybody for the rest of their lives. I'm going to stop talking.
Yep. And I think that this is what it comes down to. Ultimately, I think people have to be held accountable for the things that they say and the things that they do. Nicole had to be held accountable. Daniel's going to be held accountable. Does that mean that they're a shitty person and they should never have forgiveness in the rest of their lives? Absolutely not. You know, I think if you're humble, you take the opportunity to learn about the things that you did, the things that you said, then everybody has a chance of redemption. And
but can I ask, is it up to me as a stranger to give back pain to Nicole or to Daniel, or is it the people in their lives? Is it the people they actually hurt?
It's more the people in their lives because
right. That's why I don't feel comfortable being a dick.
But I don't think we're being a dick by saying, "Hey,
dicks.
you're getting
energy here."
We are not having any big dick energy here. We are just saying, "Hey, sometimes revenge is sweet and salty."
Yeah,
I'll just say, like the alternative to, Daniel going home was Monty going home, and I want Daniel out of the game, like based on what just from what has happened in like this game. Do I hate Daniel as a human being? No, never met the guy. Just from what I've seen, I want Daniel out of the game. It hurt me to want there to be an alternative plan, but because there was going to be some sort of not backdoor plan, but like kind of like get Monty out and he doesn't even really know it's happening. I wanted that to happen, but it did kill me a little because I was like, the alternative is Daniel, and seeing what Daniel's done, I do want him out of the game. And that's not me being a bad person.
So
And that's not
I
me hating
agree
him.
with you. I need to defend myself because
Can you mute him?
look, I agree with you, Mike. The thing is, I want Daniel out. I wanted Nicole out. I wanted all of these MF motherfuckers out. That's just the honest truth. I thought that they've been horrific. All I'm saying is you put any of us into a house where cameras are on us 24/7. We're in a pressure cooker. There's a lot of money on the
literally.
line. You can't see your family, your friends, the people that care about you. You think everybody around you is untrustworthy. I don't know how I would act. I don't know what idiotic things I would do. And so it's not that I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. They sure deserve they will suffer themselves. I'm just not willing to be the one that gives them pain.
But there's a
Alright.
difference between doing something stupid on camera and being outright mean for no reason.
Mhm.
Like, you're in that house, and after a while, you're going to forget that the cameras are on. And you're right, there's a lot of stressors in that house, like not being able to eat if you're on slop, not being able to sleep, them waking you up at odd hours, competitions, the not being able to trust. Like, there's a lot going on, but that doesn't change who you are as a person. You don't have to say nasty things for no reason. And that's what some of these people are doing.
And it's not just, I think everybody, and I would absolutely be the biggest hypocrite in the world if I said I've never talked bad about somebody behind their back, because I absolutely have.
And
But
I
I
have the
think
receipts.
probably. Not even gonna lie that. So let's not go there. We're not talking about me. No, but everybody at some point in time has done that, but I think it's whenever you are dogpiling on one person repeatedly for no reason, and at a certain point in time, you would hope that the goodness in you is like, oh, this is going too far, and I need to be the one to stand up and say something. Because was Turner completely innocent? No, but Turner was the one that stood up and was like, hey, this is too much, it's gone too far. Kind of the same thing with Monty. And you've seen people like Brittany saying, hey, like, I didn't stop it, and I'm sorry for that because you're my friend. And are these people perfect? Absolutely not. But you can see the ones that recognize the things that they did wrong. And those are the people that just have a little bit more redeeming qualities, in my opinion.
So Bibine says every player does not behave like Daniel and Nicole when stressed. I agree with you, Bibine, 100%. I actually think I'm closer to all of you all here than I probably am saying. But the truth is, I'm okay with y'all doing what you want. I'm just not going to pile on.
So you're not coming when we go see Daniel show to boo him.
I would not boo a person who's just trying to make a living.
You know what? I'm gonna go back to one of my opinion top 5 moments of the season for me, just as far as like not gameplay goes, when Paloma exited the game and Monty came together with everyone and said, let's say a quick prayer. Let's, I just hope people at home don't, give her too. And I know that she was in a very bad place, and that might have been part of the reason why he was saying, don't give her too much hate, all this stuff. She'll see it. She'll recover, and she'll, know what she did. And that's someone who's with her. That's someone who got to know her, things like that.
Right.
So I think I agree with, Sheldon, kind of what you're saying. Like, I wouldn't we're strangers to these people. So we only see what they do for, 90 days. How can we judge every single thing about them? How can we give them so much hate? I also agree with, I'm never going to like say like, oh, you're a terrible person, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I think it is okay to say, you're out of line here. And unfortunately, so many people want to say it that it does come out as overwhelming. But hopefully there's enough people out there who are just like, that was not okay. You know what I mean? And that people learn.
I mean, to be honest, like compared to the things that you read and see on Twitter, like I don't think that, we cross that line of, hey, I think these people are, god awful human beings. And whenever they get out of the house, everybody should attack and, just take the kill shot on them.
Please
you know,
don't.
nobody here, yeah, literally, nobody here is saying that. But do I think people need to be held accountable for the things that they say and do? Yes. All right.
By their mamas, not by Sheldon.
Anyways, so we find out that the bestie twist is coming to an end tomorrow night, and we are also going to get a wall comp. According to some spoilers online, we are going to get to watch it play out. They're going to turn the feeds on, pretty quick after the eviction. Love that for us. Love that we're going to get to see this competition tomorrow. What are your thoughts on this twist coming to an end? Do you think it is going to change the dynamic of the game? Or do the leftovers stick together?
I think at this point, because the leftovers have the numbers, like assuming everything goes right in the elimination, it's going to be 7 against 5. Like at this point, you're always going to control the vote. So even if you have to eat your own, you at least get to pick who of the leftovers stays.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have two thoughts really about this. Thought number one is, it's time for it to end. We've had 3-4 weeks of this. Thank you. It was fine. I have to say, I did like the twist overall. I wish that the pairs or sets or whatever would have been a lot random than chosen. But I like that. I like it anytime that's the strategy in the game becomes a lot harder to figure out. And the truth is they figured that out pretty quickly, just by using what other seasons have done in similar situations. My second point is, because of exactly what CJ said, the 7 to 5, I hope something else happens in this house, whether it be a twist, whether it be something. Maybe it's another power or competition or whatever, just because this is about to get really boring watching 5
Well, I mean,
one after the other.
what would be great is to have I think Kevin's right, it'll be 7 to 4. I think that it would be great to see Jasmine's not going to win it. Terrence isn't going to win. Maybe in Melissa HOH. Alyssa, Indy, somebody random. Let's shake it up a little bit.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Bean thinks Turner or Taylor are going to win. Kevin thinks Alyssa might win as well. So
yeah, I think Monty could win. I think there's quite a few.
I'll tell you, if Monty wins, Jasmine will be sadder than a firefly in a mason jar.
Where does she come up with? Do you think they're writing this stuff for her? Like you can't have that.
I sure hope so. I hope.
No, I think she's doing it on her own. I mean, she doesn't have anything else to do. She's laying there at night like, oh, they are eating this up. I cannot wait to hear what she calls Julie Chin Moonves tomorrow. I am just. Let's take some bets, okay? Does Jasmine compare Julie to a food item tomorrow?
Oh my God. Yes.
Half-eaten muffin.
You look better than a half-eaten muffin.
Julie, you looking so skinny. You don't look like a full muffin. You look like half a muffin. All right.
Well, I just want to say one more thing. I think with the leftovers, with the bestie twist coming to an end, it's going to be a test for them. And I think they haven't really been tested as far as like what happens when one of you doesn't win HOH. So it could either be really boring as a fan or really great, because I think it'll be a complete, two ends of the spectrum. Because if, the leftovers win HOH, it'll be a bonding experience. Okay, we're all alone now, and now we can really take control. But if we do have like an Alyssa or an Indy win and start targeting some of the leftovers, it could be really scramble mode for them, and it could ruin everything. You know what I mean? So
it's funny because I think if Alyssa wins, that becomes Kyle's HOH. If Terrence were to somehow win, it's going to be Monty's HOH. Indy and Jasmine are the only two real wild cards because nobody is in their ear.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, especially Indy, she's going to do whatever the hell she wants. And one of those people will be Taylor.
Yeah.
So.
It'll be Taylor and Monty for sure.
So one of the things, Kevin was doing a little bit of fun stuff earlier on, and he came up with a little Jasmine saying, and he said, Turner's roasting Jasmine like a chicken wang over an open fire. So Kevin might be writing for Jasmine coming soon.
All right. So that is our recap of this episode. Once again, I just thought it was a really fun episode to talk about. Mike, what you got going on?
Well, we still have our social media. I've been away for a little bit. But we've still got all that. You can follow us on there. Sheldon, if you want to post a link up there, there you go. Boom, follow us there on basically everything. And we'll be posting more hopefully soon. Yep.
Sheldon.
So we got some really crazy stuff happening over the next few weeks. Kylie, are you going to tell them? Maybe give them a little sneak peek into what's happening? Because we have some special guests coming over the next few weeks. So you're going to want to make sure you subscribe, make sure your friends subscribe, make sure you potentially win that golden power of Veto once we get to 250 subscribers on YouTube. Because Kylie, who's coming to spend some time with us tomorrow?
So tomorrow we will have
Who's that? Ronnie.
Lovely man here, Ronnie from BB11, will be joining us to give all of his thoughts on this season, what's been happening. He is a really good follow on Twitter if you aren't following him. So it's going to be great to catch up with Ronnie, hear his thoughts on the season, see if he shares some of our same opinions.
We also have a handful of previous house guests coming to join us to talk about the season. We will not be telling you who they are. So keep on subscribing to our social media. Keep on listening to us, watching us on YouTube, all of your streaming platforms to find out, because we got some really exciting shows going on. CJ, what's going on with you in the next little bit?
You can find me on all socials at Keyboard Sarcasm. Me and Kevin hold it down on Monday nights here for the fans. Check us out.
Love it.
All right. And we will be back live tomorrow with our crew plus Ronnie. And we will see all of you guys next time. Bye, y'all.